But we do begin right now with that breaking news. According to our team there in Russia, a business jet has crashed about 100 miles northwest of Moscow, killing 10 people. The government group that manages Russian airlines reports that the founder of the Wagner mercenary group, seen here, Yevgeny Prigozhin, was listed among the passengers. Russian officials say that all 10 people on board, including 3 crew members, were killed. Now remember, Prigozhin had been fighting for Russia in Ukraine when he led that aborted mutiny against Vladimir Putin just a couple months ago. Russia reported that he had been in Belarus ever since then. ABC News foreign correspondent Tom Soufi-Burge joining me now live from Kyiv, along with ABC News national security and defense analyst and former CIA operative Mick Mulroy. Tom, let's start with you. Just tell us everything that we know about this plane crash, where it was heading, and clearly, we are reporting that Prigozhin was on that passenger list, but do we know if he is among those that have been killed?
Yeah, this is potentially a really dramatic moment. And I say potentially, Kira, because what we have to bear in mind right now is that Yevgeny Prigozhin was listed as being on board that plane. We can't confirm at this point in time whether he was definitely on board and whether he is definitely dead. But if he is, and if he was on board that plane, it is hugely significant. Yevgeny Prigozhin was a one-time ally of Vladimir Putin. He was created effectively by Putin. They go back many, many years. Prigozhin really came to the forefront from his adventures around the world, if you like, with the Wagner mercenary group, a fighting force which operated in Africa, but it was hugely influential and present on the ground here in Ukraine. And of course, just only weeks ago, Yevgeny Prigozhin mounted a rebellion. He led potentially thousands of troops. They took charge of Rostov-on-Don, a prominent Russian city, and threatened to go on the march towards the Kremlin. Vladimir Putin denounced Yevgeny Prigozhin at the time. Then there was the sort of confusing backroom deals and Yevgeny Prigozhin potentially going off to Belarus. Then we saw that he was back in Russia. So it was a confusing picture, but what it did tell us is that Yevgeny Prigozhin was a powerful individual. He was a threat to the Kremlin, and it made Vladimir Putin at the time look incredibly weak. Now, we're really short on detail exactly what has happened with this plane crash. We know that a private jet, an Embraer, a relatively small plane, has gone down over Russia. Let's look at the video again. We can see what appears to be wreckage of that plane hurtling towards the ground. Now, unconfirmed reports, and I stress, really unconfirmed reports swirling on social media are suggesting that plane could have been shot down. We cannot confirm that at this point in time. Telegram channels on social media allied to Prigozhin are alleging that it was Russian air defense that shot the plane down. We cannot confirm that. There's no official comment on that. There is other reports in the Russian media saying that it was a terrorist incident, that the plane came down very quickly because of that. But it is clearly a hugely dramatic incident, not only for events inside Russia, but also for the war here in Ukraine. Kira?
If indeed he has been killed in this plane crash, let's just put in perspective, Tom, how significant that would be.
I think it would be hugely significant. Look, there is a lot of information swirling around. Some of it will be true, some of it will be disinformation, and Russia is a country where official channels put out disinformation too. So getting to the exact truth on this will be hard, but we have to look at the facts as we know them and the events of recent weeks. And the facts as we know them right now is that the Russian state aviation regulator is saying that Yevgeny Prigozhin was listed as being on that plane, that his private jet has crashed over Russia. There are, as I said, those unconfirmed allegations that the plane could have been shot down. We can't really comment on that element of the story right now, but what we have to look at is the bigger picture. We have to look at the events of just a few weeks ago when the war here in Ukraine was really not going in Russia's favor. Prigozhin's Wagner mercenary group had been fighting intensely around an eastern Ukrainian city. It had lost a huge number of men. The Wagner boss Prigozhin was in an open battle with the Russian Ministry of Defense over this, and then he mounted that mutiny. Weeks later, his plane has gone down.
Yeah, which leads me to you, Mick. You know, Prigozhin is not the first person who has publicly and very loudly gone against Putin. let's just talk about, is there cause for alarm, or is this a coincidence?
So, Kara, you're right. He's not the first person to gone against President Putin, and he's not the first person that ended up the same way as those people that talked about President Putin in the past. This has all the hallmarks of Russian intelligence. They like a thinly veiled excuse for how somebody died, whether it's being somebody who fell out of the window, or in this case, potentially their jet crashed. I do think this may be, if this was intentional, and I think most people will consider this likely to be intentional, they may have been trying to find out how they were going to continue the Wagner Group operations, which brings a lot of money to the Kremlin, while they were planning this. And perhaps they now know how they're going to do that. There's also reports that retired Colonel Utkin, the actual founder of Wagner, a former Spetsnaz, Special Forces officer, was on the plane. I don't know that, but I think we'll find out both these, answer these questions soon.
All right, we'll stay on it. Tom, Mick, thanks so much. Just getting up and live with us so quickly with the breaking news. We'll continue to follow it. Thanks, guys.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.